My first poem is In Search of Amarjan. Amarjan was my paternal grandfather who I never met. And this poem is actually taken from a map, after looking at a map in a book that had some information about him and his journey from, well, it's in the poem. A red dotted line drawn on this flat map marks your steps from Yerevan to Van. The dates, 1915, 1916, hug the path like bookends. Lesk, a village, a resting place east of Lake Van, and a red dotted line stretches from Van to Bakuba. Somewhere along that path, your 2 children died. Your wife's belly stretched with Sirvat, born in Baghdad. Her memory buried in desert sands with your Yavrams, their names lost in arid winds blown off this red dotted line, a remnant of your journey. I sift through my genes like sand, searching for stories passed on to me like my Vanatsi eyes, nose, and steadfastness. But this map ends on the drawn-in capital star of Baghdad, and no one I know has been able to tell me your story. Another Armenian heritage-inspired poem, Crimson Threads. Carpet or gorg, double knot, sheep's wool, fabric of my ancestors, intimate designs, patterns, stories, colors speak to heritage. Crimson dye, indelible lines trace the outlines. The strings stretch, heart to weaver's soul. Memoir of inheritance, now hang alone, faded artifacts. Armenian, distinct from Asian, separate from Persian, differently detailed from Iranian. Its own record, voices of artisans, more probably female. Achik or kin, conjure them, spirits in labor, longingly I summon them. I write about my heritage and my family and loss, and this poem was written around the time my father was struggling with cancer. It's called Small Lies for Comfort. Plump night crawlers entwine like chow mein noodles packed tight in Chinese-style cardboard takeout box. Slimy bodies long, so we slice them in half. One half between my fingertips and yours. Re-wrestle the worm onto hook, fresh bait for flounder and tautog. I wince at the bloodstains left on the rocks, marvel at your matter-of-fact act, wonder if they feel the slice. You assure me it's okay and not considered animal torture. There is no pain. But I wondered about the blood and the guts that oozed from each half. They said that in the moments of intravenous morphine, you felt no pain. You were silent, so I couldn't tell. But I heard your breath labor, gurgle like a coffee pot. And when I saw the foam bubble over your lips, again, I wondered about the pain. This last one I'd written after my dad passed, and it's called Breath. A chill comes over the skin, knowing I can't watch his breath again, knowing his chest won't rise again but lay flat, a body of skin and bones. They take the body and discard it before an attachment to an empty shell occurs. But the memory of his cool skin haunts the day, haunts the night, haunts the breath I hold between my lips. I breathe now as if I could blow life into him. To comfort us, they say God has taken him. Who is this God that steals breath thief-like in early morning hours, just as night has given way to dawn? In church, we light candles, hoping his breath will fuel the flames.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Speak Your Mind. So happy to see you again. We have a very special guest with us today. Welcome to Cheryl Panosian. Did I say it right?
No,
Yeah,
no, that's
you.
okay.
I told you.
It's Panosian.
Panosian.
Yeah.
Panosian. Yep. Well, that's what I'm famous for, I guess. So she is the Danbury Poet Laureate, and that beautiful, beautiful poetry. Thank you for coming and sharing with us so deeply. And of course, right now, audience, it is all about you. So I want you to grab a pen, you know what time it is, and your journal, because we have a writing prompt that Cheryl brought to us today for you to join in the fun. You are going to write a 5 to 10 line poem on the subject of home. It could be emotional or physical, whatever that means to you. If you want, you can pause the video now, go write your 5 to 10 line poem, or you can watch the whole show and then rewind it back and write your poem. And of course, come share it with me on the Facebook group, Speak Your Mind. Of course, as always, like a cooking show, we wrote ours ahead of time, and now we're gonna share. I always save the best for last. So I'm going to share mine first. So thank you for bringing me this prompt. It helps me to stay sharp and to think outside of the box and to learn something new. All right. Mine is 15 lines. It could be longer than 10. Better than the hot box of the car that kept me safe after the storm blew all my hope away. In tortured anguish, I cried out for grace. The angels heard my pleads. In miracles that only movies make real, with a blessing framed with white molding, overlooking trees, and a babbling brook, that the comfort of my bed and the safety of my couch reminds me to always believe.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, let's hear yours.
And yeah, work in progress. Love it. It's called Yearnings. I long for home, the place where my DNA tethers me. Some land in Anatolia, the rocky hills, Ararat and the Ark, olive trees, spicy scent of junipers, abundant apricots for homemade amardine, where pomegranates' sweet and subtle tartness lingers on the lips, scarlet juice stains remnants on fingers, fruit for good fortune, revered reminder of home.
Oh, give it up for Cheryl. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so let's dig into this. What I am so curious, what inspired you to come up with this prompt? And I want you to share a little bit about your poem and the inspiration behind it. I'm guessing that you're not from this country because olive trees, or not from Connecticut because of with the olive trees and a lot of the imagery in it felt like you have moved from a different place. You could tell me if I picked it up.
Well, I have moved from a different place, which is just Rhode Island, so it's not that far.
Do they have olive trees?
No, no. This is more, and it's something the poem hasn't gotten to yet, but it's more the yearning for home, that the home in my ancestry, like the home in my DNA that's a part of me. So that would be like an, Armenia, and so that would be in, that region. And that's what I was alluding to, but didn't quite get there in the prompt myself. But that's
Well, I
the
think
inspiration.
you did, 'cause I picked up on that.
Yeah.
I felt like there was like a motherland that was definitely not of Connecticut, but it did feel like it was outside of the United States. And I don't know why the olive trees brought it, but the imagery of all of it felt like a motherland type of story. So very cool. So what inspired you to do this prompt?
Well, I started. I'm a mental health counselor by profession. And I started as an adult writing more poetry, and it started with my ancestry. So I have lots of photographs from, over 100 years ago. I have books, just a lot of artifacts that kind of open the door to writing about my own ancestry. And since my grandparents on both my mother's and father's side escaped from the Armenian genocide, with Turkey, so those stories were what I started with writing about, and just some of those themes, and kind of veered off into more like the essence of what my heritage means to me. So like something like a pomegranate, and I know it's maybe sounds silly, but it is like a revered fruit in Armenia. It's like a symbol of like, fertility and like life. And ironically, like I love pomegranates. From a very young child, we had pomegranates, and it's just, so that's the symbol, actually, a symbol of Armenia.
Wow, I love that. And it's interesting because, like, I lived out in California, and in LA, there's a lot of Armenians, a lot. And that's when I first was introduced to the Armenian genocide and learned about it. And it was just, it's just so interesting how different areas that you live, it's like you don't really get information. And part of it is just the way sociology works. And part of it is like, okay, well, why aren't we telling more of these stories and weaving them in? Because we are this melting pot, and we deserve to know everybody's like lineage, everybody's story, because everyone has a story. So I appreciate you sharing that. And it brought me back to the memories of a lot of my neighbors and sharing these stories with me that I kind of like, when I moved back to Connecticut, it's never on my mind, which brings me to where I met you, which was I was blessed enough, Cheryl invited me to speak some poetry at an event in Danbury. It was Advocates. Well, tell us about what the event was.
It was a benefit for Greater Danbury Unites for Immigrants, and it was poetry and music, and really a celebration of, local artists as well. I think people were eager for that space and that place.
Yeah. Which is why I think that the prompt of home touched me on two levels. Like, as an artivist, now I'm using that term. I just learned about this term. I just read a children's book about artivism. But that's what we are. We're artivists. We are. We do art for our own enjoyment, our own therapeutic process, our own education expansion. But I think at the heart of people like you and me, we're activists, and we utilize our art as a voice of activism in the world. And so the fact that the home theme of people being ripped from their home right now and throughout time, through all different actions, but government sanctioned actions, tribal actions, throughout history, you name it, there is some sort of warring that happens that wants to separate people from their family, their home. Go in my lineage, it's slavery. And so I think it's poignant that we talk about home and how much it means to each of us, and then to really put ourselves in the shoes of someone who's being ripped from their home and think about what it is. On a personal level, my poem was about a time when I was homeless. I lived in my car. And I was, after COVID, I had to leave my home very abruptly, and went through, lost my job, and, went through a lot of turmoil. And living in my car, it was like not to have a home. And then to be blessed by a miracle, a God miracle, 100%, with a beautiful home now, thanks to through sustainable housing, subsidized
Right.
housing. Thank God in Southbury where I live, they stand behind that and really advocated for it. It's changed everything for me to be
Right.
able to kind of plant some roots. And when I go through stressful times right now, and I get so caught up in everything that's going on, I'm like, oh, but thank God I have my home and I have that window looking at the tree. So it's so important on so many levels. But before we go, I also want you to let the audience know what you're working on. You are the Danbury Poet Laureate, your book, your open mics, your events. So please just let the audience know everything about you.
Oh, there's so much going on. I think I'm a little I kind of like to run with something. So I do a monthly open mic at the Booksmith Shop, which is the independent bookstore in Danbury off of Route exit 2 off of 84.
Exit 2 off of 84.
And
the Booksmith Shop.
The Booksmith Shop. And none other than Maya Rose is the feature for February 11th, so please come check her out.
2026, because this may rerun, so February 11th, 2026 for Black History Month.
Right. And then March 11th, I have Hannah Lippman, who is the newly appointed Bethel Poet Laureate.
Nice.
And then April 8th, I have Ed Ditsko, who is one of the publishers for Orenog Mountain Publishing.
Okay. Is that Sandy's
Yes,
husband? Okay.
yes, Sandy's husband. And then May 13th, I have the New Haven Poet Laureate, who is Shamar.
He's been on our show.
Yes.
Folks at home, you remember him? Influence.
Right.
Influence. Well, you have a great array of people.
Yeah,
Excited.
yeah, and
Place to be.
right. The other thing I'm doing a workshop. I'm trying to get out to different places. I'm doing a workshop at
Hold that up so as you talk.
at the Lebanon American Club on February 28th, and it's going to be writing about your heritage and your cultural identity.
Nice.
So it's a little bit of a reading and a workshop. I also have a Facebook and a Instagram page, which is Danbury Poet Laureate, which is where I post all of the things that I am doing. So if you want information, Danbury Poet Laureate, Facebook and Instagram.
And I love this, the Lebanon American Club, Saturday, February 28th, which is awesome because that's the theme of this show.
Right.
And we don't know, I don't plan our conversation ahead of time, and that's kind of amazing that we talked about the heritage and then you're doing this workshop.
And it's kind of the through line in some of what I write, and you kind of got a sampling of where I am in my writing. But the other thing, I'm doing workshops at the Harambee Center. I
know Harambee.
Yes.
Yep. Larry.
Yes, and he said to say hello.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is all the time we have because you're going to do some more poetry for us, correct?
Yes.
Yay! So, folks at home, thank you so much, Cheryl, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. Thank you, audience. Thank you, Connecticut. We love you. We love you, artists. We love you, Connecticut. We love you, poet laureates. We love you, poetry. So please do not go anywhere. Stay tuned.
This next one is flag warning. I am not one of those people who believes in the flag. This flag of the United States or any flag of any country at any time. I am not one of those people who believes governments are benevolent. Indigenous peoples, reservation about reservations, owning of Black people, sale and rape of women, a country built by slaves, immigrants, builders of the railroad, internment of the Japanese. I have read too much the bitter fruit of Guatemala, plunder of resources, overthrow of sovereign governments, the politics of heroin in Southeast Asia, government hypocrisy fueling G.I. Joe's addictions. I've heard too much, snippets of genocide, half-told memories trekking from Yerevan to Van. Ambassador Morgenthau's story, eyewitness testimony, burning of Smyrna, sailors safe on boats, boiling water dumped overboard onto desperate swimmers. tears for the never-known dead ancestors and half-dead survivors. I've cried too much, Tutsi people at the hands of countrymen, minorities in minority, brutal dehumanizing, people's lives ravaged by operations, war, Middle East policy failure, wars for the bourgeoisie, the oligarchs, the robber barons, for politics, power, for oil, for the rich. I've seen remains of exploding bodies, first childhood memories, Vietnam, Cambodia, the killing fields, witness to piles of bones. I see Gaza's children and all the child victims of war. I see the faces of my ancestors, desperate for escape. Human needs, human rights abandoned. List of violators too long. Which country is free from war crimes? Which government owns righteousness? This next one is, nature inspired. I write a lot about nature also, and it's called Fragile Sign of Spring. Vibrant yellow petal, you hug spindle of a branch, survive an April snow, near neon glow into unrelenting winter gray. A border bush, sometimes left wild, branches crisscross into a thicket, a young bird's protection. You beckon the sun from the gray mask she's worn and steer us past what is left dark inside. And this next one is called Photographs. Crystal water rocks my canoe. Supine I absorb summer sun. Feathers flap on blue-gray heron. Fingers fumble to capture flight. Orange-black snake, curled camouflage, laughs at struggle to hold its beauty. Only turtles pose, sunning on fallen trees, hoping for a chance at immortality. And this last poem is a work in progress. It's my Danbury poem. And it has multiple titles. Well, for now, we're going to call it the Danbury poem. Hiking around Parks Pond, follow white blazes, capture snow swirls dancing across almost frozen surface, fumble with phone camera, snowflakes cling to branches, coat marcescent pine oak, underfoot decaying red maple leaves crunch, cushion my steps. I look up to the overcast sky, tune into the song of the nuthatch, tune into the creak of expanding and contracting pines, echoes into the winter quiet like a song into silence, a caesura. Observe the rivulets trickling over rocks, commands me to halt, absorb nature's voice, capture the sound. Veer off blue and orange blazes, steep rocky terrain, to Mootry Peak lookout, distant view of this jewel of a city, below alive. Trek back down, hikers approach, cross paths into woods, tune into accents, discerning the cadence of Spanish words I recognize. Hermosa ciudad, the melody of Arabic, Gabit Salam, the unmistakable vowels of Portuguese, Cenario Tranquilo, inflection of Vietnamese, Ke Tong, the poetry of French, Mon Coeur, and here I am, second generation Armenian, this park, Im Sabarave.